Hello, fellow book nerds. It is me. I'm back. So, after a kind of unplanned, unannounced, impromptu break that I just took, I thought it is time to come back. Yes, I have new hair, it's a new location, and I probably got an uneven tan. So, you know, that's life. So I've been gone June, July, August, and September. So it's been 4 months and I have been reading. So just because I was away doesn't mean I wasn't reading at all. And I just thought, oh, instead of doing a wrap up for every month, because that'd be a lot, I was just gonna talk to you about 5 best and 5 worst books I read in that 4-month period and just have a chat, just slowly get back into the channel. There's gonna be one more video coming at you in a couple days that is pre my hiatus that I filmed a while ago, so I look different. Let's talk about my reading. Why don't we? So in June I read 9 books, July 8. In July I read 8 books and August 12, which was a very good month. And then in September so far, well, I'm filming this like the 21st of September and I only read 2. So I would not hold my breath for very many. So we're just gonna do one best, one worst, one best, one worst, so on and so forth. We'll start with the best. And the first book is Pet. So this book is a very short book. It has very big writing on it as well, so I would recommend it if you just need a quick read. And it is written by a non-binary author, and it tells a story of a little girl who lives in a town that has eradicated all kinds of monsters and all kinds of crimes. Everyone's really good and happy, at least that's what the little girl's being told. And one day there's a monster that comes out of her mom's painting, but he claims that he is an angel. His name's Pet, and he's come to eradicate the monster because there's a monster in the village. But the main character is a trans girl. The whole book is filled with great representation in terms of race, but also sexuality, types of relationship. And it was just really short but powerful look at what we consider a monster and what it takes to take someone out, and how sometimes we can just like overlook. I would highly recommend it. The writing's impeccable, but it's a really good read that I really enjoyed. I gave it 4.5 stars and I would highly recommend it. Then on the not so great is Mayhem, and I have received an arc of this book from NetGalley, so full disclosure. This book is a retelling of a movie that I'm blinking. I've never seen the movie. So this movie, the book follows the story of a girl who moves to a town that her mom comes from, but her mom's always been very reluctant to come back there. She said she'd never come back, but after her stepfather, he's been quite abusive for a while, and they decide to escape him and run back to this town and her mother's family. And what goes from there is just so weird and bizarre, and I think that's how the whole book could be described. There's like some disappearances in the city and it's quite paranormal but very bizarre. And like I said, I've never seen the movie, but I have read the reviews that said that if you've seen the movie, this is just a carbon copy, everything's the same. So I feel like maybe if you've seen the movie, you know what's gonna happen, so you're not very interested. I was quite interested. I felt like in the beginning quite hooked me, and I was there. I was really curious to find out what's happened, but it kind of just turned out very weird and very lackluster and really skimpy on the explanations. If you're into weird, you might want it, but I'll pass. And I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Then on the good list is A Song of Race and Ruins. Okay, let me see if I can summarize the plot of this book, right? So in one corner we have a princess, right? I'm a princess and this is my tiara! And she's gonna be a queen, and her mom's a queen, so it's kind of like a matriarchal society. And one day her mom's assassinated, and in order to bring her back to life, she wants to perform this ritual that's kind of like necromancy ritual, and to do that she needs a heart of a prince or a king. I think maybe king. She's not married, so she knows in order to do that she would have to marry someone and take their heart. Now on the other side, corner, whatever you want to call it, we have Malik, who is a refugee from another country that's being quite mistreated by the country of the princess, and he comes to this capital city in order to start a better life with his family, but his sister gets kidnapped by like a mysterious creature kind of thing. It's like a demon or something, and she gets kidnapped, and he is told that in order to save her he has to kill the princess. So he wants to kill her, she wants to kill him, and then romance, pure angst calms, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really interesting story with both POV characters being interesting, which doesn't always happen. It was well written and the history of the world was interesting, and I'm really looking forward to reading the sequel. If you're looking for more African inspired mythology or stories, I think this is a great shout. I really enjoyed it personally and would highly recommend it. I give it 4 stars because it wasn't perfect, but I can't remember what wasn't perfect about it. So this is what happens when you do your reviews months after you read the book. Next on our naughty list, I hate myself. Next on the not so great list, we have The Family Upstairs. It is a thriller and it tells the story of a family who... No, wait. So this is a thriller following a story of a woman who as a child was found in a house with 3 dead people and no one there, but clearly someone was taking care of her because she was like a toddler at this point. And I believe on her, I want to say 21st or 25th birthday, she finds out that this house was left to her in the will of the parents. So she inherits the house and she kind of goes from there trying to discover what happened all those years ago to her family. I had quite high expectations. I think it started pretty good. I was really into it, and then I was following the mystery and I was really eager to find out. I was reading it so quickly, just trying to find out what's happening. Half of the chapters we follow the woman who has been found as a baby and we follow her in the current timeline, and the other timeline we follow someone who lived in that house way back when this happened. So we follow this person's perspective, so we find out kind of firsthand what's happening, but also we later find out through her finding out. I kind of saw where it was going. Intriguing. It wasn't one of those thrillers that had you on the edge of the seat to find out what happens. It's more of a slow burn, and although that was alright, I just didn't feel like the ending delivered like almost at all. That's why I gave it 2.5 stars. Next up, we're gonna talk about Mirage, which is an amazing book. So I got this book because I saw the sequel's cover and I was just like, this is so pretty, I want it. So that's how I just buy my books now. I just like think, oh, that's pretty, I want it, and then I got it.
This bitch thinks she's Ariana Grande.
So I got the first book. I didn't really know what it was about. Well, it's like a sci-fi, but a kind of a light sci-fi. It's one of those like fantasy sci-fis, I would say. Kind of like Crier's War, but a bit more sci-fi than that. We follow a girl who lives in a village with her family, and on the celebration of her like womanhood, on the ceremony where she's supposed to like get these tattoos that symbolize her heritage and culture, and it's a very important event, it gets interrupted and she gets kidnapped by the royal guards, and then she gets taken to the palace. So in this world there was a war a while ago, and this one alien race conquered this other alien race, I guess. Okay, this one alien race conquered this planet, and this planet now is kind of living with this alien race, but they're kind of subservient and they're really second-class citizens. And we find out that the reason that this village girl was kidnapped is to serve as a decoy, a doppelganger, if you will, for the princess. I really loved the first book. I thought it was a great, very fast-paced, engaging sci-fi with just, I don't know, the romance I loved. There was like inkling of friendship that I loved. It wasn't perfect by any means. I feel like a lot of it was very rushed and very unearned, which is something that bothers me a lot because I really like, I guess, seeing the characters go through it and go through the pain. I just really like seeing characters work for it and really develop. In this story, it felt like everything came quite easily. We have this village girl that doesn't know anything, and next chapter she's like this master manipulator spy. Next chapter she's this and this and this, and it happens to all of the characters. So that was the only part of the book that I didn't like, and I think that I could really improve in the future books. That being said, I still really enjoyed the romance and the friendship, and just I like the main character. I think she had some spunk to her, even if she just became master at everything. I loved it so much that I bought the sequel pretty much right away and read it like one book after different books, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Next up on the not so great is a book that I was so anticipating. It was like up there. If I knew about it when I was doing my 5-star predictions, I would have predicted it 5 stars, and that was The Guest List. Now, I found out about this book from Megan, and she really loved it. She gave it 5 stars. She was like swearing by it, loving it, and that's why I had such high expectations, and it turned out to be a big disappointment. I need to tell you what it's about. So the guest list is a thriller. We follow a wedding party on an isolated-ish island, and it's all about these people on this island and kind of all the conflicts they have, and it all leads to a murder. We just don't know who's getting murdered, but someone's getting murdered, because the opening chapter is us finding a body, but we don't know who it is. And I think that was the biggest issue I had. I think I prefer thrillers where we have someone murdered in the first like page or whatever, but then we go from that into the investigation. I like having that investigator character. For example, I really enjoyed And Then There Were None, or like, I didn't read it but I watched the movie The Murder on Orient Express, so I like Agatha Christie kind of vibes. Well, there doesn't have to be a murder in the thriller, but this is more of a murder mystery, I guess. This one is like, we don't know who's getting murdered, so we're just kind of getting there slowly, but like, I kind of think it's everyone, because everyone's such an awful person. Everyone's garbage. I don't care about any of them. I was like, if any of you die, I will not be sad. And then who did die was like kind of an obvious choice. And then everyone was somehow connected to this one person, and they had a very clear reason to kill him, which just always feels ridiculous. Like, even the most unrelated person had a reason to hurt this one character, and failed to thrill me, and I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Next up is an amazing book. That sequel is kind of putting me in a reading slump. So, you know, there's like a lightning, and there's no lightning as well. And this book is The Last Magician. So I've heard of this book way back when, probably before booktube even happened. I have it on my Kindle. I guess I picked it up because I think Nicole from Nicole and Her Books mentioned it in one of her videos, and I know Nicole and I love everything she does. What is Last Magicians about, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you a story. It's 1900 New York City. We have these people that have magical powers. They're called, I don't remember what they're called, but they're called something, and they have magical powers, and they're being prosecuted by an organization that's kind of like evil and stuff. And we have our main character. She is also one of those magicians, but her superpower is to go through time. And she is actually from present day New York, but she travels back in time to the 1900s to kind of pluck different artifacts from the history for her mentor, and they together want to like save magic, because magic has been oppressed for a very long time. After one of her missions, her mentor tells her that she needs to go to the 1900s for a while to kind of discover this plot and help out this plot to steal some very important artifacts from this evil organization. I just love this book so much. It's so good. Like, honestly, I loved it. I read it maybe in 2 days, which was crazy because it's a very, very thick book, okay? Things I like about it the most is the romance. I mean, the romance is... It was so good, guys. Like, the romance is just the most slow burn thing you will have seen in your life, which is maddening and frustrating and just drives you crazy, but at the same time it's just something so good about it. Before that, I read first book in the Ace of Shades trilogy, and that was so good as well, and just gave me very similar vibes to The Last Magician. So if you enjoy one or the other, I would really recommend picking up the other one. Again, my favorite part is the romance, because it's just so slow burn, so perfect. The characters are just so well developed, and I gave it 5 stars. And now I'm reading the sequel, so it's called The Devil's Thief, and I'm still enjoying it, but I have started reading it probably first day of September, and now it's the 21st. I don't know, just going through it so slowly. It's just so maddening because the romance just doesn't go when you want it to go, and just keep butting heads and just keep arguing instead of making out like good little people. Okay, anyway, next up is a very disappointing sequel, which is The Hand on the Wall, which is the sequel to The Truly Devious. It's not even a sequel, it's the third book in the... Well, it was supposed to be a trilogy, so this was supposed to be the finale, but now they're making like another book as well. But Truly Devious is set in this school for especially gifted children. Think Professor X's school, okay? That's the kind of vibe. And in like second year or something of the school, his daughter and wife get kidnapped, and his wife is found dead, and his daughter is disappeared, and another student gets murdered in the school as well. Now fast forward like like almost like 100 years or something. It's a big jump. And the school is about to reopen because it closed all those years ago when the murders happened. The school is reopening, and we follow the main character, who is a big fan of true crime mystery. She wants to be a detective, so she's very fascinated by this case, about the school, about the murders. So she gets invited to become a student at the school and develop her detective skills, and she really wants to go because she wants to find out what happened all of those years ago. So I really enjoyed the first book, like a really interesting YA murder mystery thriller. I don't read a lot of those. Mainly if I read thrillers, I read adult thrillers. So it was fun, it was good, the characters were likable, it was diverse, and the mystery was interesting. And then the sequel came, and that was good, that was interesting and all of that. And then this third book, by now I don't remember anything. I did not care about the characters. I mean, the main character I never really liked. Her love interest is just... But at least we get the mystery. But I don't remember anything about the mystery. I don't think that thrillers should be series, especially now that she's extending it to another book. Why? If she made this maybe duology and just condensed everything kind of in 2 books, then maybe I still would have been interested. I give it 2.5 stars. I mean, all of these books, I'm just saying 2.5. Okay, last in our the best, good, whatever list is Home Before Dark. This is another thriller. It's kind of a horror as well, so if you're not into that, maybe it's a bit scary. This is another thriller by Riley Sager, who is quite well-known thriller author. He's written maybe like 4 or 5 books. They're very popular. I only read Last Time I Lied, and I really didn't like that book, so I didn't have the highest expectations. I was pleasantly surprised. So Home Before Dark, we follow a girl who, as a child, lived in a house with her parents, and one day, after maybe couple months, they just fled the house in the middle of the night with all of their belongings still left. Her father claims that that's because the house was haunted by ghosts, and he writes a whole book recounting why they escaped and what happened in that house and all of the haunting of it. So fast forward many years, when she's in her 20s and her dad has passed away and has given this house to the daughter. But the daughter thinks that the book is like a whole load of crap. She doesn't remember any of these things that her dad claims happened, and she was maybe like 4 years old, so she should remember. She thinks it's all bullshit, so she just wants to go to the house and kind of sell it off, but before that hopefully find out what happened all those years ago. I loved especially the first half, when everything spooky is happening. It kind of made me feel like maybe I should read a bit more like ghost, paranormal horror, because I enjoyed this so much, and I was really hoping it was gonna go in that paranormal direction, which we don't really know if the book is paranormal or it isn't. You have to read to find out. But it was really like scary. I was kind of like hesitant to turn the page. Honestly, I think it was very well done, especially yeah, like the setup of it and what was happening. We were kind of in 2 timelines, so we read the current timeline and we're in the booked chapters and that happened in the past of recounting of her father. So it's really interesting because we're reading story within the story, and we don't even know if what we're reading in this book is real, because the main character doesn't think so, but there's some weird things happening in the house. I gave it 4 stars. You know how all the YouTubers are like, oh no, my camera battery is flashing. That doesn't really happen to me, but my camera gets too hot and it just turns off, which is so frustrating. So let's skip to the last kind of disappointing book of the month, which was In 5 Years. And this is a funny one because I didn't dislike it, but it was something completely different that I expected. It's kind of like a contemporary, but it has some like fabulism elements. So we follow a woman who has it all. Her life is going just according to plan. She has an amazing boyfriend who proposes, and she also has the opportunity to get a great job in corporate law. On the same day that she gets the interview and the job, her boyfriend proposes, and she's extremely happy. And she goes, after this wonderful dinner, she goes to bed and she wakes up in a whole new apartment, in a whole new bed, with a strange man she's never seen, who is her boyfriend, because they just had some a long time, and she sees that on the TV it's actually 5 years into the future. So she's somehow time traveled, and she spends an evening with this man who she doesn't know, and then she wakes up back in the present, in her current time, and she's really freaked out because she doesn't know how she saw the future, why is her future so different than what she planned, why is she not with her fiance anymore, why is she living in some strange apartment. That's the selling of this book, and I was so intrigued when I heard this, like, whole 5 years in the future you can see, but you don't know how you got there, and then you live with this awareness of what is supposed to happen. And I just find that extremely fascinating. I think this concept has so much room to work with, and then they kind of did nothing with it. Like, it ended up being such a minor part of the book. All of it was just kind of like a contemporary, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed the actual story that I was telling, I enjoyed the characters, but it was kind of not what I signed up for, if you know what I mean. I just, like, I really wanted this really cool contemporary, but with like a spin, a twist. Like, I don't really read that many contemporaries. I used to, by now I don't really enjoy them, and I thought, okay, finally some like creativity in the contemporary. Have you seen that movie with Rebel Wilson where she like bumps her head and just is in like this rom-com world? I just was kind of expecting something like that, just for it to stick with the gimmick, not just make the gimmick the selling point and then just kind of completely like forget about it, just don't care. And that's why I gave it 3.5 out of 5, because I did enjoy what it ended up doing, but I'm just so sad for the possibility of what could have been. That's it for my 5 best and worst books that I read while I was away. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am so sorry for being away, and if you're still here, still watching, I really appreciate that. I am expecting to probably lose some subscribers when I post because they're reminded of my existence, but you know, that's life. I just really hope that we can keep going it together and keep discovering new content, and that you guys stick around. If you want to tell me in the comments what you hope to see from me now that I'm back, or if any cool ideas come into your head, let me know. Let me know if you read any of these books. Tell me your favorite book that you've read since I've been gone, which is May. And that's it from me, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you could please subscribe and like so that YouTube knows I'm back, and comment, that would be so appreciated. But I hope you have a good day. Bye.